Dan Haug, Sunday morning. Oh, it's about 11:30 and it is freezing in Winona. I went out and played golf yesterday morning at 7:45 with Clay. We were going to be playing in Cedar Valley, which is just one valley over from where Keith and Virginia live in Pickwick. And it was cold yesterday morning, and of course I put on my silk long johns, top and bottom. And as I went up the off the river road and then cut up into the valley, I noticed that there was more and more frost. So we got there at 7:30 and got turned away and couldn't play until 9:30 in the morning because obviously if you walk on the greens when they're frosty, then you'll end up killing the grass. So it was cold, but I played anyway. And I didn't play very well, unfortunately, which brings me on to the topic of focus. You were talking about... earthquake! Sorry. You were talking about... Focus. You were talking about your soccer team and how what you really needed was... or what you were lacking was focus. And I was thinking a lot about that yesterday playing golf, because when I was playing with Clay, I wasn't, when I was playing with Clay, I wasn't paying much attention, but yesterday as I was playing with Clay, I wasn't paying much attention, I wasn't focusing. And it's interesting because when I go out and play, I don't bring my cell phone, because I'm playing golf, or, whatever it is I'm doing, I don't want to be called I'm doing something, right? It's like having my cell phone on right now and answering it and talking while I'm making a video. How rude. So anyway, and you were talking about the sports psychologist who came and talked to your team. And I think that that's probably the biggest thing that contributes to the success of a sports team, especially when you have parity, or even when you're at least relatively close in skill. You were talking about that with the MLS, that there's such parity, and I think then the difference becomes not from obviously the skill level, but from the ability to focus and the mental toughness. So I'm thinking that, as you said, you felt and was it Scott, the other coach, that really you had a responsibility as coaches to create this as well, and I think so too. I think if you approach it from the model of we're going to allow these kids just to develop at their own pace, and if they want to work, they'll work. I think that's most of the crap. I think that any successful coach in the history of sports never took that approach. It was they always pushed and expected a great deal and demanded a great deal from their players. In fact, when I think of sports where you have to be completely and utterly self-disciplined, certainly golf comes to mind, which is why I suck. And with Tiger Woods is so impressive. But back to the team sports. You can't simply be individually disciplined in a team sport. You've got 10 other guys, in soccer, and really that comes from the coach. Yeah, you might have one player who really is acting like a captain and is really pulling the rest of the team up by the jock straps. But I think mostly it comes from the coach. And I think that in this day, especially when you're coaching young people, younger than 18, our desire to be liked and our desire to, not want to be hard asses affects the way we coach, perhaps detrimentally. On the other hand, I guess if you go into this mentally saying, okay, now what's our goal here? If our goal is to win games, then that dictates how you have to act. What I would recommend for you, Dan, is watching Full Metal Jacket. What is your major maladjustment, numbnuts? Get on that ball! So, just a suggestion. I think it might work for you. Anyway, so that's sort of my contribution to focus. It seemed like I had something else too. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about the, the LA Galaxy. I'm looking at my notes. If you want to know, I'm looking down. I'm looking. My teleprompter is broken, so there's nothing scrolling back there telling you what to say. Anyway, so I'm sorry LA Galaxy lost. That's unfortunate. They lost to the Chicago Fire? Chicago Penguins? Anyway, you can tell I don't watch a lot of MLS. In fact, my television, not that you have a television, but our television, rolled down the stairs on the rolling cart, and it finally gave up the ghost. So I don't watch much of anything these days other than your YouTube videos. So if you could fill me in, I would appreciate it. On that note, I did watch the vice presidential debates. Did you watch those? They weren't actually as bad as I had expected. In fact, one of my favorite parts about the vice presidential debate, and this actually was my favorite part, is so Joe Biden would be talking, and he would be doing his thing, and he would be talking. You know, he's got this great smile, and he's got this actually really quite nice voice to listen to. So he would be giving his answers, and he'd go like this, and he would look over at Sarah Palin, like, okay, I've given my answer. What's your answer? And it just cracked me up every time, but it was mostly enjoyable. I heard one person say afterwards that Palin did a fantastic job answering the questions that were being asked which were being asked in her head. Meaning, of course, that she didn't answer any of the questions that were actually asked. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. She answered a few questions that were asked of her, like the question on, what are the myths and the truths behind global climate change. And of course, she contributed most of it to just that cyclical nature that that's sort of this nebulous out there. In nature, Mother Nature's got this cycle, and it just happens to be the cycle for getting warmer. So, Biden's answer, of course, was, "Oh, that's crap. It's people that are doing it." But that was pretty funny. Anyway, what was I saying? Vice presidential debate? I don't know. That's the problem with doing streaming video, doing no editing, is then you start getting lost in your own thoughts. Focus! Oh, you know what? And even in the police academy, we had to focus. That was our focus on the front sights. That was it. It was not. You always had to be able to focus, which is why when you're actually in a firefight, you can't hit squat because you're freaking out. Oh, you're shooting the gun all over the place. Anyway, vice presidential debates. Oh yeah, Palin answering questions that were in her head. So it would be really funny. So there would be a question from the moderator that said this. So, Governor Palin, please, tell us what you think about, this financial bailout. Well, let me tell you about the energy policy and taxes. So, Governor Palin, let's talk about Afghanistan. Let me tell you about the energy policy and taxes. And she never actually answered the questions, which I found frustrating, of course. I was listening to Tom Brokaw afterwards on NBC talk about it, and he said that she was obviously a very skilled debater because she was able to answer the questions she wanted to answer and not answer the questions she didn't want to answer. And for me, I just took that as a bit of, so one that doesn't follow the rules is a skilled debater. I didn't understand that. I mean, it seems like that's such a cynical approach to it that I don't understand that. And then the other thing. Oh, before I go any further though, have you watched the Saturday Night Live skit with Tina Fey as Sarah Palin? Surely you've watched that after watching the Katie Couric interviews. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend it. It's NBC.com/SNL, and then right there on the main page you'll have a link for it. But it's tremendously funny. It's not on YouTube because SNL keeps killing it because of copyright issues. But go to NBC's site. It's there. Enjoy. I think you'll really find it funny after watching the Couric interviews. So that's all I've got for this one. I think I'll quick make another video and I'll get both these up today.